opening prayer and speech and address in one. Please welcome the one, the only, Professor JJ Tabane. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please stand for our Deputy President, Honorable Paul Mashatile, and Honorable Panyaza Lisifi. You may be seated. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Tabane.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't want to step on your wedding dress. I should do the welcome address. Have you already prayed? No. You haven't prayed? Have you prayed? No. Not yet. Okay. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dumelang. Dumelang. Yeah. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence tonight. It's always a privilege to have you give up your Friday to come and be with us. Deputy President Paul Mashatile, Premier Payaza Lesufi, Deputy Minister Gubele, and other ministers and deputy ministers present, ladies and gentlemen, our fantastic sponsors, welcome to this prestigious event. There's something special about tonight, and I want to couch it by calling it a confluence of fantastic milestones. And I want to talk about 4 of those milestones. Just this week, we published the 100th edition of the Black Business Quarterly magazine. And on the cover of that magazine is our head of state, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. It's a fresh edition, because in that cover story, he answers why the GNU and why now. And he tries to explain how they came about this and how it's going to work and so on, because you'll agree that the GNU matter has been a matter that has been if you like, a divisive matter in society. But at some point you debate up to a point where you now must implement and get the country to move forward. So we're trying to trigger that debate, but also get direct answers from our head of state in this 100th edition of BBQ magazine. The second big milestone is that the BBQ Awards that you are attending tonight are turning 20. Now, you'd remember that last year, it was said that the BEE was 20 years old. There was a lot of debate about, has BEE failed? Has it succeeded? Is it 20 years of just useless, activity, or the same old people getting deals? The same debate. But despite whatever failure or success it is, these awards have identified people who have made it despite the odds for 20 full years. So every year in the last 20 years, we've said, here are people who are giving us hope that whatever the problems or challenges there may be, BEE can work. And it's not just up to government to make it work, but it's up to you and I to make it count, to make it work. One of the things that has been a big debate and a nervousness even about the GNU was that, will BEE still be on the agenda? Well, the Deputy President will answer that maybe in his speech, because I'm sure in this room there are people who may be quite nervous about whether or not this policy that is yet to achieve its maximum impact will be gotten rid of or not. And so BBQ Awards 20 years, in the audience here there are some of the winners through the years who have honored us with their presence, and I would like to once again congratulate you for keeping hope alive about empowerment in this country. The third milestone is that of 30 years of democracy. if you have traveled in the continent, because if you haven't traveled, it's a different matter. We'll talk about that some other time. Because don't take it for granted. There may be people here who don't have passports. If you have traveled, you will temper your assessment of what we have achieved. Because there are there are countries that got liberation long before us. And some of the capitals, especially in our continent, forget about the other parts of the world, we'll talk about that later. Some of the capitals are in ruins. For no, the last time is when there was a colonialist in the room. South Africa has done well to put in place a firm foundation for building the future of this country. So the 30 years are not in vain. But this doesn't mean, I know Panasa can give you 19 reasons why life is better today than in 1994. That's not my story. Because also we should not try to say that only Tintswalos exist. We must also recognize the Tinikos who live in a squatter camp that will be flooded tonight. It has been flooded for the last 5 years. And each time we come with blankets and soup instead of getting rid of those. So there are challenges that are happening. We cannot allow a narrative that says nothing has happened. It will be a lie. So tonight we celebrate what I want to call a firm foundation that has been laid over the last 30 years on a basis of which all of us are challenged to build. Finally, I must be honest that when we said the 26th of June, also 26th of July, we didn't particularly think of the Freedom Charter and all those things. But I think it's important that in this sort of last 30 days where we are reflecting on the Freedom Charter, we ask ourselves here to say that little sentence that says, the people shall share in the country's wealth. Is there much sharing going on? Or is it sharing for the few and not the many? Because our economic indicators are not something to be proud of. You cannot be proud of the fact that over the last 10 years we grew at 0%. It's actually an oxymoron. Because statistics are always an estimation. So if you grew at 0.3, you must assume you can round it off to 0. Right? That's a bad economic indicator. If half of your population is living in poverty, that's terrible. If you have a badge of honor that says you are the most unequal society in the world, that cannot be something to smile about. And so, as we go forward, with whatever arrangements we've managed to make to govern ourselves, we need to look at those indicators because they tell us a story. 68% of young people not employed, etc. Now all of those things become time bombs, where those who want to put it in a rough way will say, where the poor will eat the rich. We can't afford that. So each of us must be able to ask themselves a question. How are we making the Freedom Charter's pronouncement, the people shall share in the country's wealth, real for everybody? In other words, how do we make the freedom dividend real for those who are less privileged than ourselves? So as we celebrate that confluence of fantastic milestones, let's remember those who are less privileged than ourselves. I wish you a fantastic evening as we celebrate those amongst us here who will be awarded tonight, but also celebrate all of these milestones that says that we are a country at work. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 20th BBQ Awards. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. JJ. So, whether Ustabon Jegan Kaurad.
Come to my show.
Say that again.
Commit here that you will come to my show, my TV show, so I can talk to you. In front of you.
Never, 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 and easy baba. I never win.